Without relying on the NHS bureaucracy to deliver it, we're confident that all being well, with the feasibility study that we're leading and which is underway at the moment, that hospital could be delivered, could be up and running within a matter of 5 years. And that's the commitment. We continue to lead that campaign that both Henry and I gladly make today. So thank you, all of you, for being here. May the 6th will be, I believe, a historic day in the life of this great nation, where we do come together saying, enough is enough, it is time for a new direction, a new beginning. We can't go on as we have been in these last few years. It needs a new direction with new leadership. I'm proud to serve, as Sayeeda does, with David Cameron in the Conservative Shadow Cabinet, and believe from the bottom of my heart that he is the kind of leader that Britain needs and deserves and will be, after May the 6th, a great Conservative Prime Minister of this great country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Francis, for that inspiring talk. I think, from a personal point of view, someone said to me even a few years ago that the Conservative Party would not only have a Muslim on or in the shadow cabinet, but would indeed be a Muslim woman. I would have scoffed at the idea. That's not only a credit to the Conservative Party, but equally a credit to Baroness Sayeeda Warsi as well for her inspiration. I would say that Baroness Warsi is an inspiration both to when I first learned about Baroness Warsi, I was going to say that in many ways I was totally inspired by the thought that my daughters growing up in the UK and my children growing up in the UK could enter a society and grow up in Great Britain where they had an equal chance with the so-called native population. Now, I was born in Pakistan. I came over when I was 5 years old. Whether I feel that I'm truly English or whether I'm British Asian is a different issue. But I felt that certainly I would want my children to feel at home. And certainly I find that having people like Baroness Warsi here, total inspiration to myself, total inspiration to my children. My daughters are over there who will curse me for pointing them out afterwards. And certainly I think that this is a major milestone in politics. So without much further ado, I'd like to... Further delay, I would like to invite Sister Baroness Sayeeda Warsi to the stage to come in and
Yes! Please sit down.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Chairman, जो मैं तो कहती हूँ Uncle Amin, distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to apologize for those of you who don't speak a language other than English or certainly don't understand Urdu or Punjabi. I'm going to deliver my presentation really in 2 or possibly 3 languages because I know that there are many people in this hall for whom English is not a first language. And I'm so very grateful for so many of the women who have turned out today, and I tell you that it's not often that I can go to community meetings like this and see so many women. And I know that for many of them, English is not a first language. So I hope you will bear with me when I lapse into other languages. I'm certainly not saying horrible things about my colleague Francis Moore at that time. I hope nobody gets paranoid. मैं आगे कह रही थी कि मैं उर्दू में बात भी करूंगी और इंग्लिश में भी बात करूंगी इस वजह से क्योंकि ऑल्दो इंग्लिश में उर्दू मेरी पहली जुबान नहीं है, इंग्लिश मेरी पहली जुबान है, मैं यहीं पे पैदा हुई थी, यहीं पे पली बड़ी हूँ. लेकिन मुझे एक कहानी याद आती है पिछले इलेक्शन से 2005 में जब मैं ड्यूसबरी में कैंडिडेट थी. तो उस वक्त जो मेरे खिलाफ कैंडिडेट खड़ा हो रहा था वो लेबर का कैंडिडेट था और वो भी पाकिस्तानी ओरिजिन का था, लेकिन उस बेचारे को अपनी जुबान कम ही आती थी तो वो ज्यादातर तकरीर इंग्लिश में ही करता था. तो हमारे कुछ बुजुर्ग हैं, वो उनकी तकरीर सुनने के लिए गए, तो उन्होंने तकरीर इंग्लिश में की उस कैंडिडेट ने। तो वो जब वापस आए हैं तो वो बुजुर्ग मुझे मिले हैं, तो वो कहते हैं कि आज मैं गया था लेबर की तकरीर सुनने के लिए, उनके कैंडिडेट ने तकरीर की। तो मैंने कहा कैसे लगी? कहते हैं तकरीर तो मुझे बहुत अच्छी लगी, और मुझे पता है यहाँ पे कुछ लोग पटवार के हैं, लेकिन उनका एक्चुअल जवाब ये था कि तकरीर तो बड़ी चंगी सी, लेकिन समझ नहीं आया कि उस पाया क्या। तो मैं ये नहीं चाहती कि मैं भी यहाँ पे तकरीर करके जाऊँ, मेरी कुछ जो बुजुर्ग हैं, मेरे भाई हैं, मेरी बहनें हैं, वो ये कहेंगे कि बेटी आई थी, बहुत मजे की तकरीर करके गई है, लेकिन समझ नहीं आया कि बाई तक क्या गए। सो आई होप यू विल बेयर विद मी इन दैट। ऑब्वियसली हम लोग यहाँ पे इस वजह से आए हैं क्योंकि इलेक्शन का टाइम है, लेकिन मैं इस वजह से यहाँ पे आई हूँ क्योंकि अंकल अमीन को मैंने ये वादा दिया था जब मैं तकरीबन 1.5 साल पहले यहाँ पे आई थी कि मैं जरूर वापस आऊंगी। उस वक्त I came about 18 months ago. I met with Uncle Amin, with Henry, and with other members of the Conservative Party, and we had a very frank and honest discussion in the masjid here about the state of the Muslim community here in Crawley, the wider integration within other communities in Crawley, and the real challenges that were being faced by many of the black and minority ethnic communities in Britain. और उस वक्त मैंने अंकल अमीन को कहा था कि मैं डेफिनेटली वापस आऊंगी। सो जब अंकल अमीन ने मुझे ये फोन किया तकरीबन 3-4 हफ्ते पहले ये रिमाइंड करने के लिए, आई वाज डिलाइटेड टू कम डाउन टुडे टू स्पेंड दिस इवनिंग विद यू।
थैंक यू।
एंड यहाँ पे मैं आज आपको कुछ सियासत के बारे में कहना चाहती हूँ। मेरी अम्मी जान जो है, कुछ लोग यहाँ पे मेरी फैमिली को जानते हैं। अबू जान पाकिस्तान से आए थे 50 साल पहले यहाँ पे मिल्स में काम करने के लिए यॉर्कशायर में। मैं 5 बहनों में से एक हूँ, मुझसे एक बड़ी है, 3 मुझसे छोटी हैं। नॉर्मल सी हम फैमिली के साथ मेरा तल्लक है, नॉर्मल स्कूल्स में गई थी, हालांकि तालीम पे बहुत ज्यादा फोकस था। अम्मी जान ने तकरीबन काफी यंग एज में हमें ये बता दिया था कि हम कौन सी प्रोफेशंस में जा सकती हैं, और मेरे लिए उन्होंने वकालत चूज की थी। एंड आई वेंट ऑन टू क्वालिफाई एज अ सोलिसिटर, इनिशियली वर्किंग फॉर द प्रोसिक्यूशन सर्विस एंड देन स्पेंडिंग मेनी इयर्स एज अ क्रिमिनल डिफेंस लॉयर स्पेशलाइजिंग इन क्रिमिनल डिफेंस एंड मेंटल हेल्थ। और बहुत सी मैं अपनी जिंदगी में हमेशा जो है वो रेशियल जस्टिस इश्यूज में इन्वॉल्व रही थी। सो ड्यूरिंग यूनिवर्सिटी आई वाज इंटरेस्टेड इन द ब्लैक सिविल राइट्स मूवमेंट। आई रिमेंबर नेल्सन मंडेला बीइंग रिलीज्ड फ्रॉम रॉबिन आइलैंड, and I think very much what interested me or radicalized me as a young person was color, was race. It was about being black and Asian, and it was about being black and British, or British and Asian. And I felt that to some extent, although things were not perfect, we had started to come to terms as a nation with difference. And then September the 11th happened. And I think when people say that it changed my life, I can honestly say that it certainly changed my life. Because I was no longer Asian and British, or black and British. I was now very specifically British and Muslim. And I think religion very much became the new race. And I felt for a time that maybe I wasn't entirely comfortable with the way that this country was developing, or this country was not entirely comfortable with me and my religion. And I actually spent some time away from Britain for a while. I went to work for the Foreign Office in Pakistan. I spent some time working with the Ministry of Law there on drafting some human rights legislation, and I became involved in women's empowerment charity. And the rumour is not true that that was my 9 months of training in the Northwest Frontier Province in the camps out there. I was honestly working in Islamabad. And I remember when I came back in 2003, I was at a Conservative Party conference. I was being terribly opinionated from the back of the room in an event, and Oliver Letwin, who was then the Shadow Home Secretary, spoke to me afterwards, and he asked me whether I would consider standing as a candidate. And in 2004, I was selected as a candidate for my hometown, Dewsbury, and I fought that election in 2005. We didn't win, but we reduced the majority by half, so it was a fairly good result for Dewsbury. But I think what I learned during that general election campaign